Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Aficionerdo Podcast.
I'm David Moulton.
And I'm Elaine Eightbytes. Thanks for joining us. Yay! So, have you been nerding out lately?
Oh my goodness. I love that we start off with this because we get all the exciting things that I can't stop thinking about out of my head right away.
Yeah, no, it kind of like, it's like a scrub. It's the weekly scrub. Like, come on, you've existed for a week. What's been going on?
Exactly. Okay, so we're not going to talk about The Hobbit because you haven't seen it yet. So people who want to hear about The Hobbit, not this week.
Not this week.
But before The Hobbit, they had the 9-minute preview of Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yes, they did.
Oh my gosh. My head was like, when it ended, I was literally like, forget The Hobbit, just keep going.
I'm here to see Star Trek. What?
Yeah.
What's dwarves? Come on. Spock.
Exactly. I did not want it to end. It was redonkulous. Really good. So I know that you've seen it. So what do you think?
Yes, through the powers of friendship, I have seen the 9-minute preview. We're not going to get into how. So basically, I think this movie, what strikes me most about this preview is the colors. Like the first one, there's lots and lots of lens flare. So I'm guessing that when you're in the movie and you're in that realm, that is just the realm of the shiny. It's so shiny.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. You get used to it because that's just the world that it's in. Mm-hmm. The first 10 minutes, you're like, of the original movie or the first movie, you're kind of like, what is going on here? But then I don't know. That's just the way it is. Yeah,
I know. I remember thinking, oh man, this lens flare, this might be an issue, And then I forgot about it, and then it came back when I watched the DVD or the streaming or the whatever, and I'm like, wow, there's just tons of lens flare, but it goes away. So
yeah,
it was in the preview again. In fact, I kind of laughed as soon as I saw it. They got onto the bridge, and it was like, lens flare. Everything's so super techy, it's lens flare.
Yeah.
It's just the style of the world. Okay, so back to the good things. So there's apparently a child
that's sick or something.
You're right. Okay, so if people are concerned about spoilers, I'm fairly certain what we're talking about here, maybe the first 9 minutes of the movie. It really felt like we were watching near the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with the meat of the film necessarily. The only thing that might have to do with the meat of the film was the very first few scenes when we see a couple very sad about their daughter in bed.
And I think the father is I can't think of his name, but he was the first couple seasons of Doctor Who. He was kind of a semi-companion.
Okay. Was he the boyfriend of Rose?
Yeah. What was his name? Mickey.
Well, yeah. I have no idea. We can pull up the IMDb. But yeah, and then pretty sure that the villain Shakespeare comes over.
Sherlock.
Sherlock. I just did that. I'm sorry. I know who Sherlock is. I'm sorry, guys. Cumberbatch.
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 I call it Cumberbutt. It's funny. It makes me laugh.
What a great last name that is. Anyway, he's apparently the big bad, and we see him briefly. The rest of it is about something that has probably nothing to do with the rest of the film, other than character development. And I guess we don't need to go into the details as much, just in case anybody hasn't seen it and they want to see it. Go appreciate it. Beautiful colors. Beautiful.
Yes.
Just contrasty, rich, wonderful. I think my other thought was if the TV series was like this, I would have watched it religiously. But it kind of felt like a TV episode. It felt like they took all the TV episode tropes and kind of rolled it up into a 9-minute punch you in the face.
And I was a little concerned because the previews for this one prior to this looked very action film oriented. And
yeah,
I was a little concerned because, Star Trek is more intellectual in my mind.
Yeah.
So.
Well, We'll see.
We'll see.
I bet it'll be amazing. It's going to be
Yeah.
great. Anyway, what else have you been nerding out on?
Okay. Have you heard of Tekkit?
Of course I have.
The mod for, oh my gosh. This is like,
Have you been indoctrinated?
yes. So for those who don't know, Tekkit is a mod pack for Minecraft that takes like the normal building block aspect of Minecraft, the Lego format, and then they're like, hey, do you like science? Well, now we're going to drop all this science stuff and like building machines and working with alloys and bars of ore and stuff like that. And
it gets worse. Eventually, you'll find Feed the Beast.
Oh my gosh!
And that's Tekkit plus even more. Yeah, just keep going with Tekkit. You're doing great. For those who don't know, Mr. David hasn't been amongst us Minecraft players for very long. You are how many weeks into the Minecraft?
Oh man, bit of a embarrassing thing. I haven't played the game yet.
Wait a minute.
I have just been watching Tekkit videos.
Oh. I totally just caught your hand in the cookie jar, didn't
I
know. Oh, okay. You're gonna play though. He just got a new computer, guys, and he's gonna play. He's promised.
Yes. No. Minecraft is a Christmas gift, but I was told I had to wait till Christmas. So.
Oh well, now it all comes out.
So next week.
All right. No problems. We'll just move on. What else have you been nerding out
on? Here's another thing I have to talk about that I haven't played yet. There's a new Megaman game out. It's free, and I guess it has to do with the 25th anniversary of Megaman.
Did you say free?
Yes, free from Capcom. So it's like an official Capcom game that they gave out for free. We'll put the link in the show notes.
And guys, I took a look. It looks very fun. You're like, how is that going to work? Mega Man versus Street Fighter, and then you look at the trailer and you're like, oh, well, for me, it's all 8-bit and beautiful.
Yeah, it's not like it's like classic 8-bit Mega Man versus Street Fighter, and I'm assuming, so I downloaded it but I haven't played it yet, but I'm assuming that the Street Fighter guys are the villains, and from the trailer it looks like when you defeat them you get their trademark move from Street Fighter games.
Yep. So like Mega Man was going around with the bird style kick from Chun-Li. Weird, but awesome. So, very cool. Very, very cool.
Well, that about wraps up my nerd out for the week.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you about mine. I've been playing way too much Neverwinter Nights.
Okay. Explain Neverwinter Nights.
Okay, so about a decade ago.
So I'm currently up on these games, obviously.
This is a game that you can buy from goodoldgames.com. They sell it for about between $5 to $10, depending on when you find it. And it's an old BioWare game that came out way before Dragon Age. So most people are familiar with BioWare; they think Dragon Age. This is a D&D based game, kind of like Baldur's Gate, except for it's more about 3rd edition D&D. If those of you who play tabletop understand what I'm saying, and it's just a walk around dungeon, level up your character, RPG style, kill 'em, rock 'em, sock 'em, refurbishment game. Okay. You can also, it depends on how much you want to get into this, but you can also find people who still host their own privately made permanent servers where you can role play online at any given point in time. And it's actually kind of funny because I've been a part of that community for a long time and I just don't talk about it because it's just, I keep my lifestyles separate. You know, it's just good to keep some things separate, right? So over there, I participate in a community of, 1,000 people or so that go between different servers, even still after 10 years. And they just make their own worlds and they based them off the campaigns of whatever they want. And it was never intended to work that way. And it's fairly obvious that when BioWare made this game, they made it too good. So this was 10 years ago. And so this is, if you think about 10 years ago, we're talking, around the time of WoW. Okay, WoW was coming out, and then there was Neverwinter Nights over here, and the whole MMO thing was really going. EverQuest had already been out for an ends age; it was already out and established. But anyway, I digress. Neverwinter Nights is a BioWare game. I've had fun with it for a decade, and people are going to try to find. It's one of those things. It's one of those subculture things that people are going to try to find a way to make it exist for another 10 years if they can.
You know what's really funny when you talk about the private servers and stuff? It reminds me of, I don't remember where I saw it, but apparently before the internet and before easy access to things, anime used to be traded on tape. And they would have conventions, and they would just not really even conventions. They would just meet up, and people would trade cassette tapes of anime shows, and that was the only way to get it.
I did that. Yep. And and then when you would meet up with people who were trade or listen, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to say this. When I would get on AOL on my dial-up modem and go and chat in the Red Dragon Inn. Oh my gosh. I don't know if anybody's listening to me and groaning right now. Anyway, when you used to have these conversations about anime, you could tell how cool somebody was by how recently they were able to get a hold of the most recent friendship shared access to something. And then you could, because it used to be a lot harder. It is so much easier now. And maybe we'll talk about the anime fandom at some point in time. We're veering right on off.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. So anyway, another thing I did this week is I watched Mirror Mirror on Netflix. And I'm mentioning this because I think fantasy is very geeky. I mean, how can it not be? And Mirror Mirror is a Snow White derivative, which is big right now. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Snow White is making its rounds. The story Snow White.
Right.
$7.
All those stories are kind of getting re-updated.
Right. So Mirror Mirror is out and streaming and in production right now. While I'm just mentioning it, Angelina Jolie is playing Maleficent in Maleficent, the movie produced by Disney.
Oh,
it's going to come out in 2013. It's amazing. Okay. Anyway,
is which one is Mirror Mirror? Is the one with Julia Roberts?
Yes, and you can tell in this movie she had the best time. She loved being the evil queen. Loved it. It's kind of funny how you can tell how that performance comes across with actors sometimes, and she was a witch. With a capital B. All right. So, I mean, great movie. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought, because I saw that. I'm like, oh man, that might stink, Yeah. I liked the twist at the end. I liked how they updated it. I liked how they made it accessible. And I think it's a great family movie. So if you guys haven't watched Mirror Mirror yet, I had a great time with it this week. Wonderful. I've
been meaning to check that out, because that was one of those ones I was like, I'll watch it, but when it's home video.
The dwarves were great. They did a... do you have Netflix?
I do.
Do you have an hour and a half to kill?
I'm leaving right now.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya. So that ends our podcast and First Nerdo. Then join us next week while David comes back and talks about Mirror Mirror. Okay, so then also I caught up on more Big Bang. I'm not quite updated yet, but I've been enjoying the saga of Howie up in space, and he just recently got back down from space. For those who watched, no.
Oh.
No.
I don't know, so I'm just going to assume when you say names.
Howard is a character on the show. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm still working on that. If anybody wants to talk Big Bang with me, apparently I'm the only fan on the internet. So, me and my husband, we both like Big Bang. Let's see. As we know, I want to see The Hobbit. I haven't seen The Hobbit yet. I'm sad. And I'll move on from that. And one last thing to mention, I played some Knights of the Old Republic. Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. MMO, which for certain now is free to play. So anybody who wants to play that game, go right on over, surf over, download it, play to your heart's content. Free
You
to
get that
play.
on Steam? Or where do you
No. Just Google or sorry, search engine of choice. And go ahead and download yourself some Swartor. You could just plug it in and you'll find it. It's free to play, and you can play, I think, all the way up to level 50. Free to play people get far less benefits than those who plug into what they call the cartel, which is the black market. And you can piecemeal it. You can like pay a little bit, or you can actually still have a subscription and get, you can get things when like your monthly membership renews. You'll automatically get the credits that other people can pay for a little bit at a time. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you'll still get the special stuff. Plus, you'll get even more for having a subscription. I still have a subscription to it. I'm enjoying paying for this program, and I like the benefits that I get from my monthly subscribe. It's not that expensive. It's a normal MMO price. So it's like if you're gonna subscribe to one, I like this one. I'm still playing it. And the news is that on January 6th, an expansion is releasing, which I found surprising because usually when an MMO goes to free to play, it means it's this long, slow march to death.
You're right. Yeah.
And surprisingly, they announced that they're coming out with an expansion. They're boosting all the levels. They're putting in new quests, new planet, new content. So maybe Star Wars MMO has some life in it yet. Just a thought. So, All right. That's it for nerding out. David and I, viewers, we had a fun discussion. We're gonna branch out. So you're getting ready. You're in the holidays, right?
Yeah.
So it's 'tis the season to partake of traditions, and so now we're going to expand your anecdote knowledge.
Maybe your taste palette.
Maybe
Sure.
they're
Oh.
gonna have to let us know. Because everything we're about to talk about, I've never had.
Oh boy. So we're going to talk about maybe not old, but odd odd holiday recipes or traditions. And I think you found one that reminded me of a Julian Smith video.
What?
Called Hot Kool-Aid.
Oh, that's right.
Go check it out. But what was this that you found that it kind of sparked our conversation?
Right. So, at work, you're sitting around, and at my workplace, there's a lot of what I call enforced merriment, and that is when you are sat down to meal with your coworkers in a vain attempt to have us all like each other better. That's the most bitter way I could ever say that. My coworkers are fine, but it's still enforced merriment. It's voluntary. You can hear my air quotes. Anyway, so I'm sitting down, and at my particular workplace, they love enforced merriment, and they, especially this month, this week or the last 2 weeks, I must have had 5 different events.
Oh man!
And it's like, how do you even maintain a healthy diet when Anyway, at one of these things, somebody's like, "Well, have you ever heard of hot Dr. Pepper?" And I'm like, "What? You're lying!" And they're like, "No, really. In the 1960s, people would heat up their Dr. Pepper." And I'm like, "No, you're pulling my leg." And I do a search on my search engine of choice, and I found hot Dr. Pepper.
Now, okay, so I'm seeing the instructions here on how to make this. By the way, source is Cooking with Dr. Pepper and 7-Up, copyright 1994. Apparently that was a book.
We're looking at I'm going to show, it's going to be on the video. So viewers, or I'm sorry, listeners, in this case, if you've harvested this episode, just go look for either our show notes or go check us out on YouTube and go to near the 20-minute mark, and you should be able to find
the pictures with it.
that we're looking at here. So anyway.
You just simmer it, and then you pour it over a lemon, and you enjoy it, or at least that's what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
I don't know if enjoying it would be what I would do.
So yeah, that's what you do. Oh, it says 180 degrees here. It's the winter warmer. Clever people who enjoy something different, devilishly different and delicious, will welcome the exciting winter warmer of hot Dr. Pepper. Easy to prepare. Simply heat Dr. Pepper in a saucepan until it steams and then pour into a glass or cup over a slice of limon.
Perfect for the family or when friends drop in. And take along a thermos of hot Dr. Pepper when enjoying outdoor activities. Hot Dr. Pepper, the distinctive winter warmer. Oh my goodness!
It's distinctive.
Well,
you like pour it out. You're like, I'm separating myself from the average Joe with my cup of hot Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, it's definitely distinctive. That I'm sure it's probably not as bad as I imagine, but I don't know.
Out of the research that I've done into this Fascination 1, I haven't double dog dared myself to do it yet. I feel like I should.
You know what? That's it. Podcast challenge. By our next recording, both of us have to try this.
We have to do a hot Dr. Pepper.
We can even wait. Maybe we'll do it live. Although we'd have to prepare it right before.
But if we have a hot thermos...
That's true.
We'll be distinctively different with our winter warmer.
Okay. Next podcast, we're trying this.
We're following through. Come back. Yeah. Okay, so that's hot Dr. Pepper. And then that had me thinking, what is fruitcake? Okay, like fruitcake. Of course, some people really do know what it is because parts of North American culture really do this a lot. And they have a fruitcake every year, and that is Christmas. I mean, like, that's what they do. But me, I'm one of these people that have never had a fruitcake. I've seen a fruitcake. I've been scared of fruitcake. What is fruitcake?
I have a fruitcake in my closet from last year. I'll mail it to you if you want. It's not opened.
Well, that entirely depends on how it was made. Is it a store-bought fruitcake?
It's a store-bought fruitcake.
Chances are it doesn't have rum in it, does it?
No, and they last forever.
Well, that's preserved.
As long as they're not open.
Right, so. Exactly.
Yeah. All
right, so I will answer this question for you. And everybody, get ready. When fruitcake is talked about around the table, maybe it'll happen. You'll be like, I know. So fruitcake is a dense, spicy cake that is made with dry fruits, candy fruits, and nuts. Okay? Seems simpler now.
Yeah.
So the fruits, and they're mostly fruits with some batter, but mostly they're heavy and they're soaked in liquor. And the rum and the liquor is a preservative, but it's for flavor as well. So if you get a well-made fruitcake, it can last for several months. And the flavors of the cake will age together and deepen over time. So some would say an old fruitcake is the best fruitcake.
You know, I wonder how many people have actually had the fruitcake with the liquor in it. Because I don't know that I ever have.
It might make it so much better.
Yeah, it might. But it's just kind of like with eggnog. Like, traditional eggnog has rum in it. But how often do you have eggnog with rum in it?
You know what? Not that often. I'll just go buy eggnog and have it vanilla, or that's not a good virgin is what I mean to say, not vanilla.
Yeah.
But no, I could enjoy maybe eggnog, especially as I appreciate a wider variety of flavor. That with rum would be delicious. It just doesn't happen that often for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably great. It's probably so much better with the liquor. I mean, the added taste. I am an odd person. I really enjoy fruitcake, but I don't handle super sweet things very well. Like, I can't eat a lot of it. And usually the fruitcake's too spicy, or not spicy, too sweet for me to eat a lot of. And then every time when I go, like if someone gives me a fruitcake log or whatever, like I'll have a little bit of it, and it's hard for me to go back to it because every time I smell it, I just think about how I ate all this sweetness before, and it like flashbacks.
No. And then it becomes a doorstop.
Yeah. And then I don't eat it anymore. So.
Fruitcake, probably the most unloved cake there is.
Yeah.
Maybe we can redeem it. I'm not double dogging Dare fruitcake yet. We got to start. We got to stick with the hot Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, we can pass on the fruitcake.
Did you find anything else? Did you go researching for any weird holiday traditions?
I did. Well, I have two that I have. Well, one that I enjoy, and then one that I just experienced that might just be more of a cultural thing than odd. So the first one is I'm Italian, and we make what's called galamad for almost every major holiday, and I think it's just because our family really likes it. But galamad is stuffed calamari, and for those who don't know what calamari is, it is squid. And I know. People, I'm sure, like, you probably had calamari at like a pizza restaurant or something.
No, I actually like calamari. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the exact same thing, except for rather than being sliced, it's just stuffed, and it looks like a stuffed shell.
Now, is it rubbery?
If you overcook it, it gets rubbery. So it's served in spaghetti sauce, or as my family calls it, gravy, even though it's just spaghetti sauce.
Your family calls it gravy?
Yeah. I don't know. They've always called sauce. That's spaghetti sauce.
Put some sauce on it.
Yeah, it's always we're past the gravy.
Well, what do they call gravy?
I don't know. Gravy.
Wait a minute.
Usually,
is there ever a situation maybe at Thanksgiving when there's both the stuffed squid and
it's really weird.
The two never cross?
No.
The streams never merge?
They'll cross the streams. But I love this dish, and it's like I'm not a big lamb person or turkey person, so I really like the stuffed squid.
All right.
Weird thing about it though is if you don't eat it, the gravy disintegrates the squid. So if you don't eat it in a couple days, like the leftovers, then you go to eat, it's just soup because all the stuffing's just mixed in with the gravy. So.
Okay.
It sounds gross. Usually you don't eat it at that point. So,
it's like, this is a temporary event. You make it, you eat it.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as leftover. What's the proper name for it?
Galamad.
All right. Well, if I've ever am offered it, I'll be like, that's squid. And I'll look like I know what I'm talking about. If I don't eat that right now, it's going to dissolve in like 2 days. I've
got 2 days to eat this. I got to get on it.
By the way, have you ever seen Downtown Abbey? No. Oh, sadly. Anything else that you would have found?
Okay, so the other one that I had is I used to date this girl who came from Irish descent, and I always thought it was from an Irish family, but I was talking to her recently about this because it just came up about how we were going to talk about it, and she said it's a Southern thing, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it was she said that at the time her family had said it was an Irish thing, but like for the New Year's, they do a bunch of symbolism things, and one of the things they do is they put money into their food, like a coin.
Ew.
And they sterilize the coin beforehand, but or at least they supposedly they do. Yeah, and if you are eating across the coin, you're supposed to have financial good luck.
No.
Now, when I was
don't put pennies in my food. Okay.
When I was going over the story with her, she said that they warned me, but she knew that the story would be better if I went with my original remembrance was that I was not warned. I don't remember being warned, and
Did you eat a penny?
Yeah, there was a penny in my mouth, and I was like, what is going on? And I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because I was like, Why is there a penny in my mouth?
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the baby cake. The king's cake.
You baked the baby into it?
Okay, so king's cake is a, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, Mardi Gras tradition. And it is a dense cake, sweet cake that usually after it has been baked, it's a big circle, kind of has like buns to it, but they'll turn it over, and in one part of the cake they will dig out a small part, and they will usually insert a small plastic baby into the cake, and then they'll plug it back up, and then they'll ice the top of the cake so that you cannot tell where the baby is in the cake.
Okay.
But that has nothing to do with Christmas.
No. And I just thought the whole time you were talking, I was just thinking of lame jokes. You were like, it's a dense cake, and I was about to say, don't say it's not as smart as it is, and then you were like, has buns, and I was going to say, do they say nice buns when it's done? I don't know.
Maybe we'll talk about it when we get back to Mardi Gras. We'll do a king's review on where the baby and the cake came from. But anyway, money cooked into food, and people got their traditions. If you guys know any neat holiday traditions that you guys do you drink hot Dr. Pepper? Tell us.
Please do. I want to know what people do, because it's funny. What seems normal for some people, like, until they meet other people who don't do that, they don't realize it's kind of different, and then it's kind of funny to talk about. So
that's our holiday traditions, and let's move on. Another thing that we do over the holidays, and something that we said that we were going to talk about, is we're going to get into kind of like the nerdy gifts. And the things that we can get people, or some ideas, or just talking about that experience, because I feel like unless you're very, very lucky and your family is a good listener, you just don't get good nerdy gifts most of the time. But sometimes it does happen. So, do you remember the first one that you got that really meant something?
Well, okay, so I grew up pretty nerdy, so my mom got me, my fair share. My mom and my aunts and stuff, fair share of nerdy gifts along the way. So I'm sure that there were ones there that were, fairly memorable or important to me. But the one that stands out when you say it's the first one that meant something, and it was because I knew the gift came from someone who didn't support that side of me. So my high school girlfriend got me a Ultimate Spider-Man graphic novel hardcover collection for my birthday one year. And it was like, she thought that Spider-Man was dumb and I should stop being into Spider-Man and this and that. And I remember she showed up and she's like, happy birthday. And I unwrapped it, and I was just like, wow, this is not only something I like, but it's something that she doesn't support. So at the time, that was pretty awesome.
It meant something. It was like the olive branch, like, yeah.
Yeah. It showed that she was kind of okay with it. So
okay with it enough to get you what you wanted.
Yeah. Because I didn't ask for it, so it was totally like, I don't know.
It's really funny that yours is like that, because when I think about it too, I have a very similar thing, except for it was my mom. And I had an Amazon list, and I've forgotten that my mom had asked for it at one point in time. And then Christmas comes, and she gives me this present, and it's really, really heavy. And I'm like, what is this, a slab of marble? I mean, like, it was heavy. And I unwrapped it, and it was the second Absolute Sandman volume.
Ooh.
Which is funny, because my mom is a pinnacle example of angelic human being. She's a wonderful person, but I would never ever picture her picking up a Sandman graphic novel to give me, because if you ever flip through those things, there's nudity and gore and blood and she goes, oh yeah, I flipped through it. It seemed really weird. Merry Christmas. I'm like, way to go, Mom, And I was like, yes! And it was one, and not only that, but it's fairly pricey. Like, these collector novels, they have, the reason they're so heavy is because they're just bigger print, really good paper, and they're bound in leather. It's a leather hardback, complete
Wow.
with a ribbon to separate your comic books. I mean, it's a fancy comic book rating here, okay?
Whoa.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Anyway.
You have to put on like a cigar jacket and smoke a pipe when you read it, sit
Gotta
under
go.
a lamp.
Yeah, I gotta pour myself something in a really big wine glass, and I'm not calling it the right thing,
Like hot Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. Lemon floating in it.
It's distinctive, Elaine.
Perfect. So what was like a really most memorable or surprising one?
Okay, so I think surprising kind of went along with the other one for me, but most memorable, like, and I almost say most valuable, is for 3 years in a row, I asked for my birthday's in November, which is relatively close to Christmas. I asked for the Lord of the Rings extended editions as a combo birthday Christmas gift from my mom and my aunt, and I didn't ask for just the DVDs. I wanted the like box set that came with the statues and stuff. And all 3 years I was blessed enough to get them, and I have them like displayed on their own shelf. And seeing the book, because each year they came with bookends, and seeing the bookends, and
Yeah.
I've watched them so many times. Like, they definitely like super valuable to me.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious. This is to the side. Do you watch the Lord of the Rings film over the holidays? Is that a holiday movie for you?
No, but the Harry Potter movies kind of are.
Isn't that funny? And the reason I think that they are is because all these movies were released during the Christmas season.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only reason. So we're socially, bells with Harry Potter. Like, why?
Yeah. Well, the first two Harry Potter movies have big Christmas time things that happen in them.
It was really important to the character, yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lord of the Rings, the reason I asked that is because they are, in my mind, I watch them during the winter. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, they all came in, and they kept the tradition with The Hobbit, so I was kind of cool with that.
Yeah, I'm really, when I finally get to go see The Hobbit, I'm going to be super enthused, I tell you. For myself, the most recent one is probably the one that's sticking in my mind the most, because I went through a pinnacle event in my life, which is I got married. And and it was a fantastic marriage, and a fantastic party. Maybe one of these times, if people ever really want to talk about it, I can talk about all the cool geeky things that I did for the reception. Anyway, not talking about that right now. What I was surprised about was we paid for the wedding ourselves, which means the budget was fairly tight, and and it was tight for a long time. We're talking about a year. So we didn't have a lot of money to spend on the extra things, and we're doing everything we can in order to not do any debt on our wedding. It was really important to us, which we succeeded, by the way.
Oh, congratulations. That's not easy.
Thank you. I'm glad that you appreciate that. But basically, pat myself on the back, but we were trying to find something to work for the flower toss, because we didn't want to toss flowers. And I came across a companion cube plush, and I wanted it, but it wasn't going to suit what we wanted to do. And my husband surprised me by buying that for me and giving it to me. And now I have a companion cube, and it's like really soft, and it has the hearts on it, and it's really nice and throwable. I don't know. It's like some objects are good to throw. This is one of the, like, it's like they invite you to abuse it. Throwing it around. It's really
I'm
soft.
glad he was secure enough in your relationship to buy you something to fall in love with.
Like competition-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, really brave. Very brave man. But no, that was the most recent one. That was also the most surprising, and he does things like that. Maybe that's why I married him. And that he does things like that. He'll surprise me with the things that I really, really want. It spoils me. So, okay, let's say that somebody's out there searching for something to get a Minecraft lover, perhaps.
Yeah.
We feel like we should mention this because we found this.
And it's kind of like my earlier confession. It's kind of funny that I'm so into Minecraft and I haven't really played much of it. So I think these things are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with what I found.
Okay.
I was at the Minecraft website, and I'll have to be honest, a lot of the stuff there like doesn't really entice me all that much, except for maybe the Lego sets. But I am the kind of guy who collects figures, stupid figures. I like to call them girlfriend deterrents.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
it's not true.
That's
It's not.
right.
I'm gonna keep telling you that forever and ever. You're gonna find somebody, and they're gonna have figures. You just need to find
be
the girl with
amazing.
the figures.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue on.
So anyway, they have these really cool posable vinyl figures of. They have one of Steve with a dirt block and a pick. They have one that's a creeper that comes with a diamond block, and then they have a Steve with with diamond armor and a diamond sword. And I just I think these look awesome. I mean, as far as how it could go, they are very enticing to me.
I really, they are keen looking. That is for sure. I really like the style of these. It's not quite Minecraft for those who are hardcore fans, but the style is like the shapes of them are not as quite square and 90 degrees as Minecraft, but the pixelation, the coloring, the feel, everything else is just right on. So
Yeah.
very, very cute. Go if you, there's probably still time,
Yeah.
or a belated Christmas gift, or if you're doing Christmas later. You know what I have to say, and I'm gonna put this out there for everybody to think about. If you find a gift for somebody that you know is the gift that you want to get them, but it's not going to be in time, give them a card and tell them their gift is on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Don't compromise that moment when you find something, especially for a geeky nerd and you're like, that's it. And it has a 12-day delivery, whatever.
Right.
Give them the card.
Yeah.
Instead of the lotion basket. All I have to say. This is for me about material.
Speaking from experience, Elaine?
I expect, maybe we should start a betting pool. I mean, of how many baskets of shampoo, soap, and lotion that I'll get this year. And if you're a female, it happens to every female.
Leave your comment in the comments below about how many you think.
And reveal if you're female.
Yes.
No, I'm joking.
Reveal if you're a female.
No.
And if you're a female with figures, my number is...
So the one thing I found was I am a big fan of ThinkGeek. So no, I am not sponsored by ThinkGeek, but you should definitely be aware of their website. They sell things for geeks of all ages and ranges, and it's always brilliant. You can lose hours on their website. Yeah. I subscribe to their advertisement newsletter. I get emails from them. It's terrible.
Oh, I need to do that.
It's terrible. But then that means I open up my email and I see things like Minecraft torches.
This is awesome. It lights up. And you can put it on your wall.
It looks exactly like it.
I know.
They have a wall mount that makes it sit on your wall at the same angle even. It's just
And it looks like it's got like a pixely cover to the light parts, but it's dim, but it looks all pixely. Oh.
I'm going to get one, not for this season, but it's going to be because the budget is already, we're still recovering from the wedding that we didn't go into debt for.
Yeah.
But I'm getting some sometime.
Yeah. You're not going to do a whole room with them? The only light source in the room?
No, actually, I'll put them on the ground, and then like every 5 feet, there'll be another one. And then like you'll have a grid. I'm doing it. All right. We're gonna.
Now people know what we want, so now we should just expect to get it, right? That's how this works, right?
Oh. In fact,
I'm
you
kidding.
might find yourself in a gap. You're thinking about you're going home, guys. You're going home, and you're thinking, my family's not nerdy. Oh, oh, I feel your pain, but I'm here to remind you that chances are they are.
Yeah, everyone's a little nerdy in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that culturally we've gotten more accepting of the nerdy thing, where it's in some ways it's pop culture, but in other ways, like, it's not seen as negative as it used to be.
No, and that's very true. So, as promised, we wanted to talk about a few games, because you're going to go home and you're getting ready for these trips, and we got the New Year's and we got everything coming up, and chances are you're going to have some family time. A lot of people do, or even if you're not, maybe consider getting your friends together and doing this and having that kind of time. So you're sitting down with your family and you're thinking, what games can I play with my family, especially a family that's, maybe not so much into like board games and stuff. I'm here to give you some suggestions. So my first suggestion would be Apples to Apples. Find it at Target. It's about $20.
Before we move on, Elaine, because anyone that knows me personally that listens to this will rant if I don't say something.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Apples to Apples with a passion.
Why?
I just have never enjoyed it, which is weird because I enjoy games that are similar to it.
Well, I have another suggestion for you.
Okay, good.
Are you ready? Because
ready.
if you're sick to Apples to Apples, you really need to try Wits and Wagers.
Okay.
And the difference between Apples to Apples and Witches and Wages and Wits and Wagers is a game of fill in the blank. You put in whatever you want. And it's also a better. So a betting game, not a better, a better. So basically, Apples to Apples, for those who don't know, you're dealt 7 cards. They already have the topics on them. Another person gets the subject card, and that person's the judge. And it's very, very fast. It's a good introductory game. It's a conversation starter. Probably some people, like with all games, maybe an argument starter, but it's not that bad. Wits and Wagers has the subject cards. That part's still the same. Everybody has a little whiteboard that's personalized just to them. And when the subject card is read, that person is also the judge at that point. And everybody writes down whatever they want on their whiteboard, and they're not limited to what's in their hand. They're only limited by their creativity. So then they put the whiteboards down in the middle, and then everybody will bet on which one the judge will pick, not the other way around.
I might have seen a tabletop episode on this.
You did.
Yeah.
You did, and it's great, and it's wonderful. And every time I pull out this game, I owned this game before Tabletop came out with it, so I'm like, oh man, I could have had a Geek and Sundry sticker right on that thing, but every time I pull it out, everybody is surprised by how fun it is. They're like, wow, that's such a fun game. I'm gonna buy that game. So I would actually put Wits and Wagers above Apples to Apples, but some people feel that Apples to Apples is more accessible because they're intimidated by the fact that they have to write something down.
Yeah,
so
I think
Apples
you're
to
probably
Apples frees a person from the obligation of being responsible for their answer. And some people roll that way. All right. What's another game that people could play?
Okay, so Uno. I mean, who hasn't played Uno?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's one of those games that people can play like over conversation forever.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, but you notice that one game of Uno is never enough.
Yeah, that's what it would seem. Confession: I'm also not a huge fan of Uno, but.
This might have been something to talk about before we put down our show notes.
No, but the thing is, I understand that it's an easy game to play with new people who aren't game people. So it's like, okay, I don't respect Apples to Apples, but I respect Uno. So it's a difference. So, I mean, because I've had fun playing Uno. I don't know.
Get Uno is the point.
Yeah, don't forget it.
Every time I pull out Uno with any connection of my family, that game goes down well. So, and also, just go to Walmart. It's like $3. Like, go
Yeah.
get some Uno. Bring it home. That's a perfect game to play with your family. I'm going to tout Revolution again real quick because it's a really, really fun game. It's a Steve Jackson game, so especially if your family is a little bit like, if you're like, I think they are, and I think they would like this game. It's a fast-paced game, a little bit on the pricey side. So maybe not the way to go, but it is about $50. But it's so much fun. God.
I'm looking at pictures of it, and it looks fun.
And what else? A couple more suggestions for people.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go with Munchkin. Now, I know what you're thinking if you're listening and we're talking about games for people who aren't nerdy, but I have broken out Munchkin for more people that aren't nerdy than I have people that are nerdy, and they've all enjoyed it. I think there's like 2 or 3 people that have actually gone out and bought it after playing it. So you might not think that it would work, but especially if it's the classic edition, which is more.
And that's all you need.
Yeah.
Just the classic normal edition. I wouldn't start anybody with anything more complex than that.
Right.
And it's perfect.
Yeah. Or I think that classic works better than any of the other themed ones.
It's true. I'm going to throw out Connect 4. Don't forget about it. Everybody knows what Connect 4 is. Everybody thinks they're good at it. Nobody is.
And it's great for the younger family.
It is. People. Actually, yeah, that, definitely, under 6, they love Connect 4. It's good, messy, loud, little pieces all over the place. Great. Connect 4.
Well, going along with loud, Dutch Blitz, which I understand you've never heard of, and might be more culturally in my area, which is Amish country. But it's similar to Uno. It moves very fast. You lay down cards. You got to match things, and it's pretty intense, and it can be fun. So.
We're going to wrap up our show with something that we're going to do pretty regularly. It's called our weekly picks. And it's just one thing that we found on the internet, or something that we do with a regularness that we enjoy, that we want to make sure that it has a little bit more broadcasty to it. My shout out of the week is for the Gamenightguys and their podcast. Curtis and Brian are the 2 hosts of this show, and speaking of board games, this is what they do. They pick an obscure board game, really obscure board games, and their show is about half an hour long. It's short, sweet, to the point. They play the board game, they talk about their feelings as they play the board game, and then at the end they say whether or not they enjoyed it or not. And they also do card games and everything like that. And taking a look at their list here, it looks like they have more than 100 shows.
Wow.
Easily. They've been doing it since 2010, and they put it out weekly, usually on a Monday. So, for example, on Saturday, November 24th, they released one about Murder, She Wrote, the board game. So definitely go check them out. They got a Twitter. I love their show. Very, very fun, very entertaining.
Wow. I'll have to check that out. Well, moving on, I love webcomics. So the webcomic I have to share with everyone is called Let's Be Friends Again. Now, this is a very, I'd say, if you like the show, it's going to be up your alley. They talk about current events, the more in the nerd-centric kind of area, or lifestyles of nerdy-ish people. So check it out. It's called Let's Be Friends Again. Now, they haven't posted anything since October because they're working on some other comic and TV projects. But
do they have a hefty archive?
Yeah, there's a hefty archive, and it's pretty relatable to even past whatever they were talking about. So.
Well, the 2 examples that you have up here for me to look at, I really enjoyed, especially the one about the Saturday morning cartoons, because I could really relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
I guess there's nothing worse than describing a joke, but I'm going to describe this joke. It's a couple kids who really enjoy Saturday morning cartoons, and we were all there when we were kids, like getting up early in the morning to watch our Saturday cartoons, and then it proceeds to what happens as we get older. So very, very funny. I can relate.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much concludes our show for this week. You can come back next week, and I guess we'll be trying hot Dr. Pepper.
That's what you have to look forward to. It's going to be an experience.
And we're probably going to talk about The Hobbit, folks. So go watch that. Get ready for some spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler-filled episode.
And then, whatever else. Probably something holiday-related, because 'tis the season.
So, once again, I'm David Moulton.
And I'm Elaine Eightbytes.
And this has been the Aficionerdo Podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to give us feedback at #Aficionerdo or here on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.